Welcome to The Feast Life, where we empower you, the modern homeschool mom, to create a life and homeschool you love, one founded on faith, family, freedom, and fun. I'm your host, Julie Ross, creator of the award-winning homeschool curriculum, A Gentle Feast, and a certified Christian life coach. For more information on today's episode and to access my free gift for you, check out thefeastlife.me. Charlotte Mason once said, "Life should be all living, not a mere tedious passing of time." So on this show, we seek to savor the feast of life. Girl, grab your favorite beverage and pull up a chair. You are welcome at this table. Welcome back to The Feast Life. I'm your host, Julie Ross. And today's conversation is one I know so many of you are going to connect with. If you've ever felt exhausted by extreme emotions, drained by daily power struggles, or wondered if maybe you're raising a tiny tyrant, this episode is for you. My guest is Mary Van Geffen, international parenting coach for moms of spicy ones, those strong-willed, deeply feeling kids who are more loyal to their own soul than to your agenda. Mary is a spicy one herself, and she spent years helping parents practice the spiritual discipline of staying calm, kind, and firm with their children, especially when they don't deserve it. She has guided thousands of parents through her program, shares her daily encouragement with over 400,000 followers on Instagram, and her greatest joy is the connected relationship she now has with her adult spicy one. Her new book, Parenting a Spicy One, a compassionate guide for raising a deep-feeling and wonderfully strong-willed kid, is part memoir, part guidebook, and it offers such a refreshing approach full of humor, empathy, and practical wisdom. So whether you're in the middle of a 5-alarm tantrum season or just looking for ways to connect more deeply with your children, you're going to love this conversation. Let's dive in. Okay. Hey everyone, welcome to The Feast Life. I'm your host, Julie Ross, and I'm here today with Mary Van Geffen, and I am so excited to talk about her new book. Hello, Mary.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here.
You're so fun. I've just enjoyed chatting with you before we hopped on air here. And I know our listeners are really going to enjoy this conversation because we're going to be talking about spicy children. I love that title so much. But before we dive into that, can you just give everyone just a little background about you and your family and kind of what led you to write this book?
Oh, that's a big old tale. So I have a 21 and an 18-year-old, and I'm happily married to a man who's playing golf right now as I sit in the van. We're on a van trip. We just dropped off our youngest to his first year of college.
Wow, so you're empty
And
nesters now? And
yes,
you're
yes, I
and
haven't
you're
been able
just
to get
living life.
home
You're
to like,
going on the highway. This is so cool, Mary. I love it. So cool.
yeah, and I'm gonna go home today. 5 days was enough, but yes, my
But you
husband's gonna
tried it.
continue on.
You did it. That's what's awesome. That's what makes it
Yes, and
worthwhile.
I will
Yes.
do it again, and I want to show up for him. But anyway, I had a really difficult time parenting my oldest and really just was filled with rage and
Mm.
shame and anger. And I read The Strong-Willed Child by James Dobson and what's the Train Your Child's Heart?
Shepherding a Child's Heart by Paul Tripp. That
Yes,
one.
yes,
Yes,
Shepherding a
yes.
Child.
We read the same
And there were
books,
many
girl.
There were many messages coming at me that I was a bad mom because
Mm.
this girl came out the womb ready to tell me what was up. And I don't know if I tell the whole story, but I just went through a lot with her and really went through a period of trying to get her diagnosed with something.
Mm.
Something must be wrong with this girl to bring out these feelings and
Mm-hmm.
for me to not be able to get her to do the things I want. This is around when she was like 3 or 4. And I got a lot of bad counsel and felt like I was almost like having a spiritual dysfunction, like I
Mm.
wasn't doing right by God because my
Yeah.
child wasn't obeying. And
Mm.
so went through a whole journey and it really wasn't her. She's just the 20% of kids that are extremely spirited and they're going to be the ones that run for president
Yep.
and are activists and are the artists. They're really hard to parent and they make lovely adults. And I hit upon the wounding I had in the way that I was raised, because I was a spicy one. Now I'm raising a spicy one, and I was raised myself by a spicy one who didn't have all the support we have
Mm-hmm.
now. And so I went through a whole journey and realized it was more on my plate how I needed to show up regardless of how she was going to behave or not behave, that there were a lot of things that I could do, and ended up getting, I know that you're a Christian certified coach. I became a coactive professional coach and a simplicity parenting coach, and started, after I got my footing with those two kids and found my calm and my kind and my firm, and I wasn't cycling out, I started coaching other moms, and I've been doing it since 2011. And I eventually saw the same thing over and over again from moms who were white knuckling it and really struggling. And I started to realize there's a system here of steps that you take to get to wholeness and embrace this as the spiritual discipline it is to raise somebody who doesn't want to be led. It's an amazing blessing that God has given me. What else? I think I went off
No,
script.
no, I love that so much. I really enjoyed reading your book. It's interesting because I was like, I think she must be a life coach. Like reading some of it, I was
You can
like, there's
tell.
so much similarities of what I teach and what you were teaching. And I'm like, yes, girl, yes. But I loved it
Yes.
because you really did talk about, because, you know, there's a badillion parenting books out there, right? But you really talked about doing that inner work on yourself, which is what I coach on as well, because a lot of parenting books, they're outward focused, they're behaviorism and things like that, and they don't address the heart of the parent. And so you don't become a better person by reading these books. You just try to control your children more. And so I love that. I felt like it was kind of like part parenting book, part memoir.
Ooh, that's exactly what I wanted it to be.
Yay! Okay, good. I was like, is that your intention? Because you were very vulnerable.
Yeah, I really wanted to be clear that I'm the person to teach this because I didn't know how to
Mm,
do it. And I think sometimes when something comes naturally to someone, when they're like, "Oh, I'm just a regulated, calm person." Nope, I'm a fiery redhead. So for me to stay calm and centered, I had to learn almost like in steps. I also
mhm.
happen to have ADHD and
Me
be
too, girl.
autistic, which I didn't find. No way.
Yes.
I didn't find out about the autism
Yeah.
until a year or two ago,
Oh,
but
wow.
that's a lot of the creators are. If you're willing to
Yes.
get on screen and tell your business on video to people you've never met, there's going to be a big chance you're neurodivergent.
Yes.
But anywho, I just, I guess I see this as a real spiritual battle, but I think it gets framed as a spiritual battle that's raging inside your child. And I don't think that's the case. I think it's happening inside us,
Mm,
that it's a battle to figure out where's our identity going to come from. Our identity, is it going to be in presenting like a squeaky clean, well-behaved, mild child that everyone is so impressed by and we wear matching outfits? Is it going to be in following expectations other people have for us? Or is it going to
yeah.
be honoring our intuition, seeking the imago Dei in this child, like they are an image of God, and building our capacity for unconditional love. And that
Yes.
to me is a spiritual discipline of having a strong-willed kid.
Absolutely. So there's so many things I want to ask you, but real fast, before we go any further, can you define what spicy means? Because that's you
That
use the
might
word you
help.
also use yeah, you also use the word neurotype. I love that you use the word spicy because that's how I describe myself to people. Because that's I love Mexican food. So it's like I'm not chips and salsa. I'm guac. Like I like me some
Hmm.
spice in my life, and that's the kind of person I am. And I think like what you were saying too, and then we'll go back to what spicy means. Sorry. This will be such a fun conversation between
Get
two
ready.
ADHD
Get your
people. Like,
seatbelt on.
everybody buckle up. We're going on some rabbit trails and just try to follow along. Okay. But I know you can keep up with where my brain's going here because I read a lot of those same parenting books you read. Raising my children in the early 2000s, we have very similar age children. And I felt all this pressure that I was feeling as a mom because I wasn't the gentle, quiet, loving Christian mom. And I tried so hard and I was so exhausted trying to be something I wasn't. And when I finally got to appreciate, like you were saying, like the image of God inside of me and realize I am spicy, I'm loud, I'm a hot mess, but I'm a heck of a lot of fun. And why am I trying to stuff all that and change all that? God, like I could raise these kids better if I'm actually myself and like myself. Crazy idea.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so I've learned to embrace my spiciness, and it sounds like you have as well. So what do you mean by that?
Okay. And also, let me tell you that the name of the book is Parenting a Spicy One. So I call them a spicy one. And
Sorry.
they
Sorry.
are, oh, no worries. They are any child who is intense, spirited, strong-willed, louder than the rest of them, fierce in their belief that their opinion is just as important as the adult in the room. They they can have very big emotions and they're not necessarily neurodivergent. I would say in my mom's a spicy ones, which is like an 8-week course I teach that led to this book. I would say a third of them have a child with a diagnosis or they have a diagnosis because often what makes a kid a spicy one, really intractable, persistent, and they just will not let go of what they want to do, sometimes that's what's going on with the mom.
Mhm.
It's like I say this real gently, right? Because sometimes the child that you think is a spicy one who is so difficult, when the babysitter comes, is fine. Or when your sister watches them, it's fine because we're bringing a lot to the equation as well.
Yes.
Maybe we have a high need for order or peace or control. Or maybe we are highly sensitive and get overstimulated very quickly by what's just normal kid
Hmm.
behavior. It doesn't make us wrong, doesn't make them wrong, but I wanted to talk about these like pairings that on the surface don't seem to be working. Somebody's going to have to adjust, and it's going to be the person with the full frontal
Yeah.
cortex that's developed, you know?
Like, who's the adult in this equation?
Exactly. Yeah.
No, that's really helpful. And I want to touch on what you just said about how, as parents, it's often not something our kid is doing. It's something that is being triggered inside of us. And oftentimes it's a healing, like you said, a spiritual journey. I 100% believe that we need to go through. And what a gift it is that God gives us kids to help refine us.
Yes. And bonus, if we figure it out when they are 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, teenagehood is a piece
Mm.
of cake because they are little mini teenagers, these spicy ones. They're pushing back way before the mild child ever pushed back. It's almost developmentally inappropriate how much control and leadership they want. And we're having to figure out how do you lead somebody? How do you stay in control or in charge if you can't be in control? And we're just
Mm.
realizing 'cause so many people, so many clients will come to me and be like, she's this, she's that, or my husband is this or that. And it's let's start with what the person on this call, what can you do? What do you have some ownership over? And starting there is important. And I think the first thing is not seeing your child as the enemy
Yes.
or seeing them as being taken over by the enemy. They are your curriculum that this
Mm.
child who is larger than life is inviting you into a discipline and an understanding of yourself and a human development that you would not have had without them. And generally, rubbing against that thing that didn't yet get healed from your own childhood.
Yeah, 100%. I'm going to read a quote here and I want to see your thoughts on it. You said, in her book, The Cost of Control, Sharon Hode Miller writes, when we fixate on that fourth space, what is going on inside of others, like what you're just saying, what their motivations might be, why they act or do, or how we can change them, it creates anxiety because we don't actually have control over it. Attempting to fix or stop other people's big emotions is taking over responsibility. Stay in your lane. And so it's so hard, right? Because if they didn't do that, then I would be a better parent. If he didn't say that, I would be a calmer spouse. And we can point the finger a million other places rather than looking in the mirror and saying, okay, what do I actually have ownership and responsibility for? And you say that creates a lot of anxiety. We can't have control over it. So, how do you balance, like, I can't control this person, but I'm also in authority, like I'm trying to shepherd them. I'm trying to make sure they turn out to be a decent human. I have a responsibility as a parent. So take that responsibility and that I can't actually control. Like, where's the balance in the middle road there for parents? It's not balance. I think we could think, I don't want to be like a passive, oh, whatever, they're great and whatever happens. And it's no, I want to be faithful in keeping my responsibility and my duty, but I also realize like I actually can't. And so what I'm putting so much pressure on myself to control everything they do, and it's causing more resistance, like I'm actually making it harder for myself.
Yeah, and to expand on that quote, there's 4 areas that we may or may not have some control over. And one is what's inside us. we have some control over that, like the words we speak over
Hmm.
ourselves, the decisions we make. The second is the space between us and God. We have some say about that when we turn to him and when we open up our life to him, when we
Mm.
submit. And the third is the space between us and our child. We have a lot of control in that culture that we're creating, in the
Mm.
attachment that we develop. We just don't have any control of what's happening inside them.
That's a great
And so,
distinction. Thank you.
yeah, and we're not, we're going for a very effective type of parenting. I'm not going to call it gentle parenting because there's no research on gentle parenting. We're going for authoritative parenting. And this is high warmth, but also high demand. We're going to set clear, reasonable expectations. We're going to monitor behavior in a respectful and loving manner. But one thing we have to know about strong-willed kids, spicy ones, is that they are more susceptible to good parenting and bad parenting. And that's such like a good, bad, I don't want to sound judgmental, but more that of the group of when you look at research, challenging children have farther to fall or soar when it
Yes.
comes to how we parent. And so the stakes are a little bit higher. And so they need us to find that middle ground of not becoming an authoritarian parent with high demand and low warmth that does not work with
Mm.
them.
Hmm.
The just do it or else. You
Yeah.
either push their personality underground and then they become no contact later, or
Mm.
they see it as a total let's do this, it's on, and
Yeah.
we've set up this adversarial. So it's so tricky. It's like a tightrope. And my
Mm.
heart goes out to folks that are trying to do it alone because it's so isolating. Because meanwhile, in a lot of Christian environments, everyone is looking over at you as their nice
Mm.
children sit in the pew and are quiet. Yours is refusing to get out of their Superman underwear. It's a lot.
And there is that judgment, and you talk about that in the book as well, of what are you doing with your children?
Have you ever tried saying no? It's
Yeah.
like, girl, we're that easy. Don't you think I would?
So how did you handle that judgment and the feelings it brings up? Because it does bring up a lot of shame.
Well, you definitely finding a mom friend who
Mm.
either has a background in child development and knows the wide variety of
Yes.
children that are out there and how many shades of normal there are, or just having a good friend that also has a strong-willed or a bold child. That's super helpful. Repeat your question.
Like, how did you process through that shame and that judgment from other people while you were raising your spicy one?
Telling your story is important. So every time we tell a story, it kind of changes. And sometimes our story can be like, I called a friend and I was like, I don't like this little girl. I will love her. She's my job, but I don't have to like her. That's where I was at
Yeah.
when she was 4. And telling that story gives you a chance to hear it, gives you a
Mm.
chance to see the empathy in someone else's eyes. But finding those people is hard.
Those safe
The
people,
other
right?
thing is, yes. The other thing, a Christian counselor can be good, but the first one I went to said, Dear, have you tried spanking? And that doesn't work on a strong-willed child. And it wasn't a road I wanted to go
Yeah.
down. It didn't feel like my interpretation of Jesus. But I think sometimes that judgment and that shame is an inside job. Like it's coming from inside the house, so to speak, because we're telling ourselves, we don't even realize it, but we have this running tape going, a good mom would be able to get her kid out of the house without screaming. A good mom would have a child who would say, yes, ma'am, when it was time to go wash her hands. Like we have this mean drill sergeant in our head
Yep.
that we're unaware of that we've always had, but we've been high before this kid came along. We have been really competent, and the world thought we were
Mm.
doing great, and so we were fine. But now we have this kid we can't necessarily control everything about. And so our inner mean girl is just on fire. And so I think 2 chapters of this book is becoming aware of that internal tape and the way we are condemning ourselves, becoming aware, externalizing it. So instead of saying, this kid is a bad seed, you would say to yourself, there's a part of me that believes this kid is a bad seed.
Mm.
And those are two totally different
Yes.
energies that, by
Yep.
the way, your spicy one is highly sensitive. They pick up on it. They can see the
Yes.
hardening in your eyes. They can see the clenching in your stomach. So we have to find that. acceptance and unconditional love with this person who's not going to earn it. And
Mm.
that's profound. And that's Jesus stuff right
Yeah,
there.
that's the gospel, right? Yeah. And it's amazing that we get to partake of that and feel like, oh, I wonder what God feels like in this moment when I continually do stuff that I'm not, He doesn't want me to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love bringing up the part you said about the good mom here. You wrote, how do you define a good or how you define a good mom will color your entire experience. Warning, if the description of a good mom is connected to your child's behavior or their happiness, you have set up yourself to fail at this job. You can't make someone else happy. Plus, the spices one's first language is disappointment. Don't make this your problem to fix. And I see this so much in the homeschool space because their child might not particularly like doing long division or like the story that they're reading. And they're like, I don't want to do that. That's boring. This is too hard. And there's that constant resistance. And it brings up all that triggering of a good mom wouldn't have a child like that. A good mom would have a child who's, yes, I love doing long division. And when you say it like that, it's okay. No one thinks that. But we think it in our head if we're really honest with ourselves. And then we make it our problem to fix it, that
Mm,
disappointment. So, can you talk a little bit more about how we need to define a good mom if we're not going to
yeah.
define it this way?
Yes. And I don't like to take advice from anyone who's had only one child because I think you start to think that, oh, I did this.
Yes.
I must be really good because they're hitting all the milestones. They're doing so. I only have two. It's nothing compared to you, Julie, but I have seen a mild child grow up and a
Mhm.
spicy one, and they're just a different breed.
Yeah.
And if the way I described whether or not I was a good mom was that they did everything I wanted them to do and that they always had a clean room or whatever, I would feel like a failure. So instead, I've really tried to define good mom as in no matter what chaos comes my way, no matter if I get a bunch of yes, ma'am, oh, I love this breakfast, or I don't want this. And the spicy one's feelings are so contagious that we'll talk about that too, I think. But
Yeah.
no matter what happens out, here is how I'm going to show up. I am going to stay in
Mhm.
my most queenly, regal, calm, kind, and firm space. I'm going to speak lovingly to myself and to these little people having fits. I am not going to let them dictate how I show up. I'm not going to slip into victim. I'm not going to
Mhm.
slip into monster. That to me is whether or not I'm a good mom. Is did I hold on to the intention of still modeling and being as close to Jesus as I can be in these moments? How can I give unconditional love and stay in my loving even when someone is not acting lovable?
Mm.
That's a good mom. And then I can do that. I can actually succeed at that. I can be like, "Ooh, it was a tough morning. She melted down because her socks had a line in them and it was touching her feet and we were almost out the door and she lost it and I knew I was going to now be 10 minutes late and it's my third time this month getting her late to school and yet I unclenched my belly. I slowly breathed out. I kept my face neutral instead of glaring at her. I sat with her and we problem solved. Like is very different than I screamed, I got her in that thing, and you better believe I got her to school on time. If I think my job is to get her on school on time, then anyway, just the way you define what success look like really matters.
Absolutely. And the stories that you tell yourself, and you talk about that in the book too, and it's something I talk about with my coaching clients, right? That our thoughts and our affect our feelings, and then our feelings affect our actions, and then it gives us a certain result. So you mentioned two different stories here, that victim story or that monster story. Can you explain that?
Yeah, there's a whole chapter in Parenting a Spicy One about deciding which archetype within you is going to be the parent. We
Mm.
all have, there's a reason that the martyr slash
Yes.
victim and the monster and the teenager are these like characters we see in movies and books because they are part of us, right?
Mhm.
It's very easy if you're not being intentional about it to slip into that victim, that beggar almost. Oh my gosh, I finally get on the phone and now you're trying to get my attention. And our whole body changes. We kind of supplicate to our child. And We don't want to do that. We don't want to be the beggar slash victim. We don't want to be the teenager who rolls her eyes at her child because they're doing something that wasn't in what we didn't think it was going to happen. And that's really easy to go to.
No.
For me, the archetype I used to go to was monster. And that was like, that's it. I would literally hear that phrase, that's it,
Mm.
meaning I am now released from any fruits of the spirit. I can go ape dong on this
Yeah.
girl and just she has it coming.
Hmm.
I think of that. She had it coming. From Chicago. I would go into this monster mode. And so for me, envisioning the inner character, that person I wanted to be was going to be a queen, not a
I love
monster,
that so
not the
much.
teenager, not the beggar. And I had to fake it for a long time. And I one person that inspired me was a preschool teacher that would be like, "Okay, children, come gather." And I started just using
Mm.
that voice for a while. "Okay, Lucy, it is time for breakfast." And she'd be like, "What are you doing?" I always try to not use her name because she does not appreciate that. But anyway, I would have to emulate people that had that calm, regal
Mm.
bearing because I didn't have it yet, and my mom didn't have it. And it they're never discount this strength of having somebody out there who you want to be more like and calling them in, because if you want to be like them, there's a part of you that already is like them. So it
Absolutely.
really helps to have, I tell people, like, what queen most resonates for you? Is it like Princess Di and she's super fashionable, or is it Princess Diaries? Find somebody. Or for me it was Glinda the Good Witch
Yeah,
back in
oh,
the
I love
old
that.
yeah, back in the old
Not
Wicked.
Ariana Grande. Okay.
Oh, no offense to her. She's fine. But this was more like, "Hello, children. I'm wearing all pink. I'm in a bubble, and there's nothing you can do to ruin my morning." I would take on that persona. And for a while, it until you have it in you, you
Hmm.
fake it. And
Yep.
you ask God, the Holy Spirit, to help you. I can't do this, so you help me do it and help me be more like you in the process. And I just want to say I'm 100% for fake it till you make it.
I love that. Now, mine was Wonder Woman. Not, I'm in a battle with my kids, like you talked about, because again, we have to get out of that mindset. And we often, I hear those words like, it's so hard. We're always fighting. And it's a lot of battle words that we
Battle.
use. And
Yeah,
if we're
battle
using those
metaphors.
words to describe our
Mhm.
children, like you're in that, whether you consciously realize it or not. So it wasn't
Yeah.
like that, like the new Wonder Woman. I'm talking about like the one from the 70s, like Diana Carter. Like I wanted to spin around and be like, I'm
And
invincible right
start
now.
over.
Like you can't hurt
Yes.
me.
Yes.
Let me get
Yeah.
my golden lasso and corral this chaos.
Yes. And it's been it's controversial research. Some say it's not true, some say it is, but it even as an idea, this idea of power
Yeah,
poses.
I did that too
And
in
that's
front
what
of the
Wonder
mirror. I
Woman,
can do this. I'm the parent.
yes. Yes, and Wonder Woman puts her hands on her hips. She stands up with her chest facing the sky, and she believes. And when your body is showing confidence, your brain's, okay, is this what we're doing? Because as
Yeah.
many packets of information head up to the brain as come out of it. So I love that. Wonder Woman, yeah. And that was the music.
Yep. I just spin around and show up different. Like I would literally turn around.
Yes.
And one of the other things I love about the old Wonder Woman is she was like really fun. So one of my favorite episodes is when she's like chasing after this guy and but she turns into Wonder Woman and she like roller skates after him. And it was always like I would turn around and be like, how can we make this fun? And I started
Yes.
asking myself this question, even we're in a traffic jam for 2 hours, like, how can I make this fun? Okay, let's get out of the car and do TikTok dances. And like it totally changed me as a person, just that one
Yeah.
simple idea. So I love that. Find the mom, find the character and fake it and try to take those
Emulate. Yeah.
characteristics. I love that. That's so
And
powerful.
what you also did that's pretty incredible is you had a movement. And
Mm,
our anger, our rage often needs our
I
body
love
to
that.
move
Hmm.
to metabolize it. And our body is a creature of ritual. And if you, I had one client who, when she started to feel like her talons coming on and she wanted to throttle her child, we talked about open up your arms
Mm,
as wide as you can and let down your wings.
I love
Meaning
that.
you're actually an angel and a beautiful soaring bird. And she would open up, and having this physical thing you do is, you're reminding your body, we don't do this other thing. This is what we do. So I love that you had the turnaround. Part of my book is finding your calm down recipe that's unique to
Mhm.
your own body. What do you need to do to get yourself back to ground zero where you can make good decisions?
Right. Oh, I love that. Yeah. Okay. Find your movement, be your person. Okay. You also brought up this idea of contagious feelings. Okay. So we're going to share the spice. What do you mean by that?
This kid is tough, and I am tough, and my mother's tough, and my daughter's tough, and that when we're not happy, and even when we
Mm.
get to, I'm 54 or something, and I can fake it now, but not with my beloveds.
Yeah. Right.
Like when we're a place that my husband would be like, you don't like the restaurant. No, I like it. And he's, no, you don't. That's fine as an adult when it's the stakes aren't as
Mhm.
high, but when you're if you have a spicy one, when they are upset, they torpedo the entire experience. Whether that is you're on a road trip and everything's going to be okay, and then it's not for them, and then it's not for anybody because they're so loud. And there's in the book, I have a whole chapter of how do you protect the sibling from that because it
That's really
really
important,
isn't
especially with
fair.
homeschooling, because that can affect like you're trying to teach this lesson and then this child's having a meltdown and you're like, this other child can't learn long division because I'm dealing with this. And then you feel like a failure because you're trying. Yeah. It's a whole thing
Yeah, and
because you're
so
around each other 24/7.
yeah, and I think so much of gentle parenting advice assumes you have one kid and you're
Mm.
shutting the whole world down to show up for this one kid. And so
Yeah.
part of it is like telling yourself often not everyone's needs can be met right now, but they will
Mm.
be met.
I love
And
that.
being okay with that, we cannot meet everyone's needs at the same time. Not
Yeah.
everyone's going to get what they want, but they will get what they need
I
eventually.
love that.
Is has been a powerful mantra for me. There's also things you have to have no tolerance about. Like we went through a phase where my daughter was very anxious about middle school and we'd get to the table with our family for dinner and she would be like, ew, look at him. And she's talking about the little mild child. Look at his hands, mom, they're not clean, or ew, gross, he just put his finger. She would fixate on him.
Mhm.
And we had probably 5 months where I'd be like, okay, I would prepare her before we go. The spicy one needs to be prepared. You need to cast a vision. I want to
Mm.
let you know we're starting dinner in 30 minutes, and I'm going to want you to find one thing positive about your brother that you would like to say out loud. Or I'm going to let you know that we're going to only say positive things about each other. When she was little, like 5, when they'll say whatever they're actually thinking, I remember
Yeah.
saying, hey, it doesn't feel good to say that. We want to make sure he feels good about himself. And she said, no, we want him to feel absolutely horrible about
No.
himself. The spicy ones love drama. They love they
Yes.
love to have
Reactions. Yep.
Yes, they love to have impact. And so we've got to get really good at watching our face and not allowing a big
Mm.
impact when they try potty words and bad words and when they say things like I hate you, which they're going to all they go through that phase. We have to have done the inner work to be like what she means is she really wanted a popsicle. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean so it's contagious, and I'll give you one thing that has helped me that a therapist taught me when I was going through my thing is really taking a moment when your kid is losing it and asking yourself, who is upset here?
That's so
And
good.
often we are so
Wow.
intertwined and enmeshed with this larger than life powerhouse of a baby CEO that when they're upset, we almost assume we're upset. We don't
Yeah.
even question it. And so taking that conscious pause, that 30 seconds to say, hold on, I'm aware that they are upset, but let me put my hand on my heart and my other hand on my belly and check in. Am I upset? Do I need to be upset? Can I be
Yeah.
okay during this? And maybe you can be. Maybe you could have separate ecosystems of emotions, and
Mm.
maybe you can wear some earplugs because your body can only handle so much input.
Yeah, no, that's really good advice. I love that question. Who's really upset here? Or whose problem is this? Is this my problem? Or is this their
Yeah.
problem?
Yeah, that's really good as they get into being older kids.
Yes, which I'm in the
Um,
throes of teenagerhood.
and we're going to mess it up and we're going to have moments and we our body just couldn't take any more of the
Mhm.
onslaught. And one, can I give a plug? If you
Absolutely.
pre-order Parenting
Yes.
a Spicy One, if you pre-order the book, it comes with meltdown meditations for moms, three different meditations where I'm recording in your ear. One is about helping you come out of rage and anger. Another is helping you repair and find your way back to that child. And another is like figuring out, who do you want to be as a mom? And I think sometimes we need help to get out of when we're just so overwhelmed. The other thing that comes with pre-ordering
Um,
Parenting a Spicy One is affirming your Spicy One masterclass, which is all about there's 50 different words of affirmations.
I
You
love that.
speak over them, and a lot of the research and the understanding of how specific you have to be with a spicy one. Because
Mm.
if you say, "Wow, you're such a good friend," they're like, "Why? How? What do you mean?" So we don't deal with just generic, oh, you're a good girl. And that means nothing to me unless you're very specific. And I
Mm.
also talk in the affirmations masterclass, I talk about the things that they feel most proud of and how we can mirror those back to them to make them feel seen and attached. And guess what? When the spicy one feels more connected, they are more cooperative. So
Absolutely.
connection is your way forward.
Yes, and I'm so glad you mentioned that because connection really is key. And a lot of the things that we naturally do dissolve that disconnection and make us more disconnected when really what that child wants and ultimately what we want too is to be more connected to them. So I love that you're giving that out as a bonus. I think that is so important. Like the words that we say, the Bible says we're either speaking words of life or death. And so we want to be really conscious and aware of what am I saying over this child. And oftentimes with the spicy one, those words can be not even if they're not negative, like even if we're just pointing out, like, oh, your shoes are in the living room again. Like they interpret that as criticism.
Yes, so true. And they're a deep feeler and they're
Mm-hmm.
holding on to these things. And so we also need to really make it a moment when we're speaking into them. Okay, I need to make sure what'd you hear me say? Give as much weight to, I just said something about the beauty of you, and I need to make sure you heard that. I think
Hmm.
that is important.
Have you seen, do spicy ones judge themselves? Do they have a louder inner critic?
Yes,
Yeah.
they do. And they really need help with developing a kinder inner voice, which is what affirmations do and what us
Mm-hmm.
sharing our vulnerable, like we need to help them understand that inner peace has a lot to do with how we speak to ourselves. So the more you can make it visible that you're in your own battle, like I heard
Mm-hmm.
myself say this to myself. I was walking down the stairs the other day and I forgot what I was supposed to get. And I said to myself, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, wait a second. I don't talk that way to myself. There's nothing wrong with me. I forgot what I was going to get. And saying this to the spicy one to make them
Mm.
aware that there's us, and then there are these voices in our head that aren't necessarily us, that are listening to us. There's many
Yeah.
parts of us in mind work, and letting them know that, yes, they can really get down on themselves,
Yeah.
and it's further obviously compounded if they are neurodivergent. If you
Okay.
have ADHD, you are going to hear so much more negative
Mm.
feedback than a typical child.
Yeah.
And
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great. And I think it helps to have that empathy to see that because oftentimes like we're dealing with that with ourselves and that inner critic. You talk in the book about Mean Girls and all I love the musical Mean Girls and all I could think of was like the burn book, but I'm like we have a burn book of ourselves
Oh, yes, we do.
and we put all these
Yes,
things
we
that we
do.
didn't do
And
right and we didn't say yeah.
I can remember my mother has said many kind things to me, but the things that really stick out
Mhm.
are these things she said in a fit of irritation with me. Like she once said, you and I are like oil and water. And that's not true. We are
Mm.
both vinegar. And if you take a sip, we're tasty as heck. And so we're going to say things, but repair is such a way of creating intimacy and attachment. One thing I think that's not everybody knows, yeah, you say you're sorry, and but it's an unusual skill that a lot of
Mm.
us who are parenting right now did not experience it from the other
No.
side. We don't have parents that said they were sorry. But when you do say you're sorry, and then I'll get off my high horse, don't make it about, do you forgive me? Do you forgive me?
Mm,
Because that's not very child centric. That's about you and
right.
you feeling guilty. So instead, really make it about their perspective and even ask the question, what was that like when I yelled at you or when I said that? How did that make you feel? And help them bloom and process it a little bit
Mm.
as you make your apology. And then you want to talk about with the spicy one because you need to model for them apologies because they're going to have to make a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of apologies in their life. The spicy one is going
Ah,
to lose a
I
couple
love that.
friends. They're going to lose a couple
Mm,
jobs. That's just the road they're on. They're going to do amazing things and they're going to fail hard
yeah.
as they get through this thing called life. And so letting them experience you repairing with them. And I actually have a repair PDF as well if anybody wants it. You probably have
Yeah.
something too.
No, if you
But
could send that to us, I'll put
there's
it
an
in the
art
show
to
notes. That'd be
repair.
great because I do think repair is so,
Okay.
because I think, again, we get so down on ourselves when we don't do what we want. Excuse me.
There's a frog with you.
Welcome to the pit of despair. Sorry. That we forget that, like, it's the repair that actually builds the connection. And
Mm.
like your ability to do that, we can talk about what makes a good mom. Like, the more you repair, like, that's going to heal that relationship. So I'd love to hear what's the art of repair?
It's first off, I think 30% of the art, I'm making up percentages here, is moving toward your child to make the repair because that's
Half the
uncanny.
battle, right? Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So the fact that you're like, hey, that didn't feel right. Another part of so moving towards them, also not making it a but. Here was my part, but here was your part. That's not
Yes.
repair. That's not a holy apology. This is just
Mm,
about your role and you as the parent weren't who you wanted to be. And it doesn't matter that they exacerbated and they made you feel that's not part of the repair.
I
So
love
it's
that. That's a
it's
really good point. Yeah. So easy to be like, but you said,
yeah, but next time, but you
yeah.
really make mommy mad. Nope, none of that. I want you to feel safe in our home. I don't want to be a person who yells. So it's naming
Mm,
specifically what you did. It's not, oh, sorry, that didn't go well. No, it's, I am sorry that I yelled at you and grabbed your wrist tightly. And then it's naming how you want things to go. I want this
mm,
to be a safe house where your body is treated gently and you always feel cared for. And you might want to go the next step, which I said before, which is what was that like for you? Because a young child's going to go, that's okay, mommy, that's okay.
yeah.
And you want to let them know that it's not okay and that they
Yeah.
get to think about some of that stuff that came up and process it with you. And then you describe how it's going to be in the future and how you're going to get there is
Mm,
another. These are like extra 5%. You don't
yeah.
have to, but saying I'm reading this book or I'm taking a class or I'm talking to my therapist and I'm becoming a better mommy every day. You definitely need to hold that growth mindset.
Mm,
You are much bigger than this one incident that happened. You're on a trajectory, you're growing, you're expanding. You were put together with this child and you both have a lot to learn as you work through this.
yeah. And we're in it together. And I love that. It's that partnership. And I think you like the coaching kind of aspect of I'm here to help you and I need you to help me. We're in this together rather than the
Yes.
battle kind of perspective.
Yes.
Yes, I will put that PDF if you send it to me in the show notes, and then I'll put the link for them to submit for their pre-order bonuses because those sound fantastic. So you mentioned like the meditation of when you're in that moment, listening to what you put there and then breathing to calm down. Do you have other suggestions for like how parents can regulate their nervous system, or is it just so different based on
Oh,
several
yeah.
people?
In the book, there's a full 3 chapters on how to find your calm.
It's so
But
important.
it- I will say it's about taking a conscious pause. That the more you can lengthen the time between the negative stimulus, your kid pinched you, and your reaction, the more time you can expand, the more you will be back into your prefrontal cortex. Like we basically have to give the time for the amygdala to, which screams in verbs like hit,
Yeah.
yell, run. We need to have more. Sometimes it can be 10 minutes we need, but some of us just need 30 seconds to get back into our right mind and to respond rather than react. So
Mm.
committing, you know what? I'm going to slow down customer service in this household while I learn
Customer
to
service.
pause.
I love it.
Because your kid's going to be like, wait, I thought we were having chicken. This is a lasagna. And you might want
Yeah.
to be like, no, you might want to have an immediate response, but to say, oh, okay, let me notice what the impact of their statement or their behavior was on me. Oh, wow, I can feel myself heating up. This is the pause. You're thinking about it. And they might be like, hello, but no, you don't have to get back to anybody. You don't owe anybody a
Yes.
quick response. You can even say customer service levels are going to be declined in this house for the next 30 days because mom's working on the conscious pause.
I love
What's that? Oh, it's just for adults,
that.
spicy one. No, I want to know what it is. Oh, okay, I'll tell you. And then they can be learning alongside you because we're all just learning the same thing at a
Oh
different
yeah.
stage.
I love that. That's great. Yes, definitely read those chapters because that is so key is being able to figure out what works to calm yourself. So it's also we talked about this be the queen or be the Wonder Woman, but also like you also have to learn how to calm and regulate yourself. It's the most important
And
thing
it's a
too.
skill. It's not something you're supposed to know how to do. And you practice and you get better at it. But even if you don't read the book, commit to a conscious pause. Commit to not ever having an immediate reaction to
Action.
something. And
Yeah.
when I say ever, you're going to mess it up and you're going to start again. It's no big deal. But if you tell yourself, I have all the time in the world, even if you're like, no, I don't, I'm so late. It's okay. Tell yourself, I have all the time in the world. I am worth taking a beat. I
Mm.
can give myself a conscious pause. Now, meanwhile, this kid is screaming at you. They're both happening, but I want you to slow everything down. That your body thinks there's an emergency here. Your body thinks that there's a 5 alarm fire, the kitchen's on fire, and wild pack of dogs are coming for you. But that's not actually true. You just have a very disgruntled 6-year-old.
Right, right. And their disgruntledness is not going to end the world. So it's okay.
Correct.
Yeah, the wild
Yes.
dogs will not come. So I love this so much. You are so fun. Everyone needs to read this book. It really, I love how you take your personal story, but then weave it in. And like I said, I saw so many of the coaching principles weaved in with it, which is so key because a lot of I haven't read a parenting book like that. So congratulations.
Ooh, I
That was
love
so
to hear
beautiful to
that.
combine the coaching with the parenting and not have it just be so outward focused. It really was really beautiful. So do you have any closing words of encouragement as we wrap up here, especially for the homeschool moms listening?
I guess they would be focus on what is already beautiful about this parenting assignment you have. Yes,
Mm.
there is so much that is hard and difficult and it feels out of your league, but take a moment each day and ask God to give you eyes for what is already beautiful. And I want you to even make a list in your phone of here is what's amazing about this kid right now. Nothing needs to change. Like
Mm.
they're the way they commit to something when they believe in it, the way they stand up for the underdog, their deep sense of justice, their drama, their ability to do voices, whatever it is that makes this kid just such a firecracker and is slightly positive. I want you to write that out
Slightly positive.
but I want you to speak life into them daily, but you also need to know what's already beautiful about you. Like it's
Yes.
amazing that you're listening to a parenting podcast. You are that kind
Mm.
of mother that is so intentional. She's committed to like marinating in goodness and ideas and growing. And I just want you to remember that you're already enough right now, and you have to tell yourself that because
Mm.
there's not anybody else that knows how badly you need it. Obviously, God does, and but you got to open yourself up to the truth that you are a really good mom, and really good moms can have wildly defiant children.
Okay, say that one more time for the people in the back.
Very fantastic moms can have wildly defiant children.
Woo! I'm gonna like cross stitch that on something. That's
Mm.
powerful words right there. And that's yes. Put that on your bathroom mirror, stand like Wonder Woman, and tell yourself that. I love that so much. Thank you so much for talking with us today. I've so enjoyed this conversation.
Me too.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. Let's wrap up with some key takeaways. Number one, redefine what it means to be a good mom. A good mom isn't measured by a child's mood or compliance. It's defined by how you show up. Calm, kind, and firm, even when the socks have seams and the schedule's too tight. Number two, your child isn't the enemy. They're the curriculum. Spicy kids invite us into deeper spiritual and personal growth. Instead of seeing defiance as a battle to win, View it as a practice of identity, unconditional love, and leadership. Number 3, the conscious pause changes everything. Lengthen the gap between the trigger and your response. Put your hand on your heart and belly and breathe and ask, who is upset here? Regulate first, then lead. Repair builds real connection. Skip the but you, add clarity instead. Name what you did, name the impact, and share how you'll do it differently next time. Invite your child's perspective by asking, what was it like for you? And then number 5, name the spice, then celebrate it. Make a running list of what's beautiful about your spicy one, whether it's persistence, a sense of justice, creativity, their voice. Mirror those specifics back daily. Specific affirmations fuels cooperation and attachment. And remember, connection is the way forward. When spicy children feel seen, they become more cooperative. And make sure to check out the show notes to get your copy of Mary's new book, Parenting a Spicy One. And you can also get the pre-order bonuses like the Meltdown Meditations for Moms and Affirming Your Spicy One Masterclass. All right, thanks everyone for listening. Hey there, Julie Ross here. I just wanted to say thank you for listening to today's episode. If you like this show, it would mean the world to me if you would leave a positive review in iTunes. This really does help people learn about the podcast. And each month I will pick a winner to receive a free gift. Don't forget to check out all the free resources we created for you at thefeastlife.me. Thank you.